Here today. I'm Alex. I'm Jubilee TV's community manager, and I'm joined today by Jacob. Jacob is our head of customer experience and support, so he handles a lot of awesome things, and we work very closely. And today we'll be showcasing Jubilee TV's popular caregiving features. At any point in the demo, if you have any questions about a feature that Jacob is actively running through, or a question about something we haven't covered yet or covered previously, there's going to be a little Q&A chat in the bottom of your screen that you can jump into and open. If you ask a question in there, I'll see it as Jacob is doing the demo. And there'll be pauses in the program where I'll jump in to ask your question to Jacob live, or if it's a question that I can answer for you right there in the chat, I will be doing that alongside our other teammate, Vijeth. Um, and yeah, that's kind of the big piece. If you have a larger support question that maybe takes a little more explanation, we'll answer that. We'll save those questions for the end, and I'll call those out as we go along. A few other things I want to mention is that this session is going to be recorded. So if you arrive late, if you have to drop early, if you want to send this to a friend or another family member after the fact, this recording will be available on YouTube, and I'll send an email follow-up tomorrow with that link. And we'll also have a code at the end of this program that would allow you to get a special discount on trying Jubilee TV if you aren't a current member. And that discount will be 50% off your first 3 months. So if the program answers the questions that you have and you want to give it a shot at a low entry point, this is the best way to do that. But with that, thank you everyone again for joining. Welcome. And I'll hand things off to my colleague, Jacob. Jacob, thank you for joining us today.
Awesome, Alex. Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here. Excited to walk through some of the most popular Jubilee TV features. Um, First thing I will talk about is kind of how to get started, right? And so Jubilee TV is both a hardware and software solution. And so to get started with Jubilee TV, you place an order on our website that creates your membership. We'll then mail you what we call the Jubilee TV console. This Jubilee TV console sits in between your existing TV and your existing source devices. You'll see it has an onboard camera here with a camera cover that powers video calling and drop-in, which we'll dive into a little bit later. And then on the back is where you will connect your existing source devices. So that's a cable or satellite set-top box, streaming player like a Roku, Apple TV, Fire Stick, DVD player, things like that. So that's HDMI in. And then an HDMI out is going to go from the Jubilee TV console into your TV. So when you think about kind of like how it's set up from like a diagram standpoint is you have your TV, and then you have the Jubilee TV box, and then you have in between your TV and your source devices. Also in your shipment is going to be a variety of cables and like everything that you need to get going, as well as a Jubilee TV voice remote. Also included in the shipment is a remote cover. So this hides a variety of buttons. We'll talk through kind of like usage modes and how that may apply to your loved one's TV setup a little bit later. And then you can also elect to add on a 6-button remote. This is an additional $20, which you can add on at the time of checkout, or you can add it on at a later point. So that's kind of like the physical devices that come alongside the you activating your Jubilee TV membership. I'm now going to share my screen and I'll kind of explain what I'm showing here. On the left of my screen is a webcam that's just pointed at my TV. So that's going to show you the TV experience for your loved one. And then on the right is just my like mobile phone connected into my computer so that you can see what I'm doing on my phone. So to kick it off, I'm going to show you a little bit about like how you interact with TV through Jubilee TV on the actual TV side. So this is your loved one. Like I said, you'll use the Jubilee TV voice remote. What we're looking at here is the Jubilee TV home screen. And this is how you launch into watching content. So on your source devices or how you access some of the other Jubilee TV features like photos, videos, or weather. The Jubilee TV voice remote is fully voice enabled. And so you can say the names of things like channel names or channel numbers, as well as apps on Roku, like Netflix or Hulu. So for example, if I use the voice functionality and say ESPN, oh, ESPN, It's going to launch us into DirecTV. So I have DirecTV as my cable satellite provider. And we know that the channel number for DirecTV is 206. And so it's going to tune directly to ESPN on channel 206. Equally, I can say the name of a Roku app like Netflix. What we're doing is we are switching over to the Roku during this process. And so kind of the concept of inputs, if you will, HDMI inputs, TV inputs goes away with Jubilee TV. You set the TV input to the Jubilee TV device, and then all the switching between streaming on a Roku or Apple TV, or like watching what we call linear cable, so Spectrum, DirecTV, Dish, that all happens through the Jubilee TV console. Uh, One other thing to call out as it relates to kind of like the TV experience, you see that my Jubilee TV console is mounted on top of my TV. There's a mounting bracket on the bottom, so you can mount it on top of the TV. It also sits flat, and so you can set it on a like a credenza or a like a media center if that's a kind of a better setup for you. As far as TVs go, we work with any modern TV that has an HDMI input. So when I say modern, I mean like the TV has to have an HDMI input. That's the requirement. So none of the like large big box TVs, which I'm not even sure you can purchase anymore. So as long as your TV has an HDMI input, you're good to go and compatible with Jubilee TV. We do also require a source device. And so if you currently don't have any devices connected into the TV, like a Spectrum set-top box, an Xfinity set-top box, or an external streaming player, you'll need one of those in order to utilize Jubilee TV. I call that out specifically because most TVs that have HDMI cables uh, today have streaming apps on them. Jubilee TV doesn't interact with those streaming apps, what we call onboard TV streaming apps. Anything that you'll want to use with Jubilee TV and control with this universal remote will need to be passed through the Jubilee TV console. So you'll need an external streaming player. Didn't mention it earlier, but the Jubilee TV remote becomes a universal remote. So it fully controls the TV volume up, volume down, mute, and power, as well as all of the devices that are connected into Jubilee TV. So with this Jubilee TV remote, I'm going to try to kind of show you with both my screen sharing and my very small picture, which is probably the case. I can press channel up on the Jubilee TV remote, and I'm controlling that DirecTV device. Equally, if I go over uh, to Roku, the home screen, I can fully control the Roku using the up, down, left, right arrows here. Um, so that's the TV set, a very brief overview of the TV side. Alex, I'll pause for questions on like compatibility, setup, um, all that stuff before we move on to app features.
Yeah, so one quick question that I already answered, but I want to call out as well. We had one member ask how many inputs that the Jubilee TV supports. So there's three HDMI inputs that are supported, and a lot of our members typically will use a mix of cable and a cable input as well as one or two streaming inputs, typically a Roku or an Amazon Fire Stick. Barbara asked, is a Roku plugin sufficient for the Jubilee TV? The answer is yes. You could have just a Roku source, and your loved one would be able to access those streaming apps through the Jubilee TV. No cable is, you could use cable or streaming or both. Um, One quick call out I'll make there as well that Jacob can definitely jump in as well on is when it comes to Roku and streaming services, one important distinction that we like to always clarify is that if you are using a smart TV that includes Roku and other apps built into the TV itself, those are essentially downstream and outside of the Jubilee TV box itself. And so we wouldn't be able to control those. And so let's say, for example, you did have a smart TV that had a Roku built into it. You would need to get a Roku plug-in stick, Roku Ultra, Roku Express, any of those plug-in Rokus, and then you would plug that directly into the HDMI input in the back of the Jubilee TV, and then you'd be able to use it with the Jubilee TV and then control it from your phone for your loved one.
That's correct.
Yeah. And then let's see. Yes, Leanne asked if she wanted to use Peacock, Amazon Prime, etc. Would they need anything extra? They use Cox/Spectrum. And so in that instance, I believe it would be the same, essentially the same use case where you would want a streaming stick, either a Roku or an Amazon Fire Stick or otherwise, in order to access those streaming services. Right, Jacob?
Yeah, that's correct. The some like Spectrum or Xfinity boxes like have those apps on them themselves. So like sometimes when you scroll through the guide, like there'll be a channel, if you will, that says like launch Netflix, or another streaming app. A good rule of thumb is if you are on the HDMI input on your TV without like how you're currently using your TV, and you can access those streaming apps by using the remote of that device, so of your Spectrum device, then that's all you'll need. If you have to use the TV remote to access those apps, then you'll want to get an external streaming device like a Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV, things like that.
Perfect. And then one quick question from Elaine that came in is that she asked, so is this in line with a cable box not needing a Wi-Fi connection? I might be reading that wrong, but if I am, just let me know. But if you are using just a cable input, you would still need a network Wi-Fi connection in order to use the Jubilee TV itself. So the when you have Jubilee TV and you have the app on your phone, all of those remote caregiving features that you're using for your loved one require both you and your loved one to have some kind of network access. And so even though the cable component wouldn't necessarily need a network connection, you would need a network connection in a general sense in order to operate the box. And then
Exactly.
and then one question for you, Jacob, was
Yep.
from Owen. Owen asked if you could talk a little bit more about the IR control feature, specifically needing to control a Spectrum cable box in his instance.
Yeah, so the relatively technical answer, so happy to clarify a bit later if that's helpful. Um, Jubilee TV primarily controls source devices by IR. And so when you set up your Jubilee TV, you select the device that you have. So you'll go through the setup flow, you'll choose Spectrum, you'll choose the remote for the Spectrum device that you have. Then you'll test control, we call it. And so like you'll try to change the channel, go up and down. What's happening there, and then eventually what happens is you're controlling that device, is the actual console itself is releasing IR signals to that source device. The Jubilee TV remote is not an IR remote itself, it's a Bluetooth remote. And so any button that you press on the Jubilee TV remote connects to the console by way of Bluetooth. And then those IR signals are sent from the console itself. In your kit, we have IR blasters, which can be plugged into the console and then placed in like in various places around the TV. So, for example, if your source device is like in a cabinet, but the Jubilee TV is on top of the TV, you could run those IR blasters into the cabinet to make sure that you have reliable control over that source device. Depending on the source device, we also control source devices via Bluetooth or IP control, so over the network. The overwhelming majority is IR, and like the Bluetooth controls and the IP controls are a different way that we can control a device. But the setup flow it is kind of seamless for all of those. Like we kind of tell you what you need to do in order to set that up. We don't rely on you knowing if it requires IR or Bluetooth or IP.
Perfect. There's a few more questions and clarifications that have come in around that, how the internal smart TV apps would integrate, or in this case, not integrate with the Jubilee TV. So I just want to run through a few of these quick before we move on as well.
Yeah,
Judy asked, what about the TV settings themselves? Would these not be operatable from the app? And so I think this is kind of a nice moment to talk about some of those like screensaver settings and things that'll happen that we want to adjust before the Jubilee TV kind of takes over.
exactly. Yeah. So when you're using Telescope in Jubilee TV, which we'll walk through here in a second, what you see in the Jubilee TV app is a copy of what's coming out of the HDMI out on the Jubilee TV. So anything that would show up on the TV itself, so that includes TV settings, it includes streaming apps, um, the like mute or unmute state, right? Anything that's showing up directly on the like from the TV itself, you're not going to be able to see using Telescope, because the what you see in Telescope is what the Jubilee TV console is saying. So everything that's plugged into the Jubilee TV console, or anything that would come like directly out of this HDMI out on the Jubilee TV console. So yes, that would include TV settings. Like you wouldn't be able to see those TV settings when you're setting up Jubilee TV. There's and tons of resources and assistance as far as like what you need to do to your TV to make sure that you never have to access those TV settings, or never access the like streaming apps. So like for example, like making sure the TV when it turns back on, it goes to the Jubilee TV like input into the TV and not to like a different screen. The setup flow kind of accommodates and handles for all of those instructions as you're installing the device.
Awesome. And then another anonymous question that came in to clarify, similar on these points. With an Xfinity cable box, would I not be able to access the internal smart TV streaming services unless I added a Roku box? And they also
Correct.
asked, would an Apple TV work?
Apple TV works. Yep.
Mhm.
The it you need an external device. So Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick, Roku, NVIDIA Shield, like anything that has the streaming apps on them to plug in directly into the Jubilee TV.
Yeah, and then one more very related question from Kenda. So using a Direct TV as a login with a smart TV, she would have to acquire some additional box or plugin, correct?
Exactly. Yep. So you're
Yeah.
using the DirecTV app on a streaming device. Your streaming device happens to be embedded in the TV. So you would get an external streaming device, download the DirecTV app to it, and then log into DirecTV. I actually, that's how my Roku is set up too. So like I have, uh, so here's the DirecTV app on Roku, right? So like you would get an external streaming device like Apple TV or Roku, install the DirecTV app on that, and then that's how you would then kind of mirror the experience you currently have.
Perfect. And then just zooming out very broadly to answer kind of across all of these questions as well. So again, the Jubilee TV console kind of becomes the home base for your loved one's TV. And if you just have a cable connection, and you're just plugging that in as your only input source, great, you're good to go. These questions are kind of revolving around the streaming services app side of things, which is where if you have those built into the TV, that's when the kind of workaround slash additional need is just needing either a Roku stick, a Fire Stick, any streaming service stick that would allow you to access those smart streaming apps and channels through the Jubilee TV. So that's kind of the instance when you'd need to go grab a Roku stick for an extra 30-ish dollars. But if your loved one is only using cable, then that wouldn't apply to you and you're good to go. Or if you already have a Roku stick, then you're also good to go. But in that unique instance where your loved one is relying on built-in streaming services, that's when you would need to get that extra, some form of extra component. And our team, we have a lot of members who use those. And if you happen to need any assistance with that, you could always email us and we can help you get that set up as well. One quick question, and then we can move on to the next setting, and we'll continue to answer questions in the chat, which is, are there any specific bandwidth requirements for using the Jubilee TV?
Yeah, so a normal like Wi-Fi connection in a home is more than enough. From a technical standpoint, we recommend at least 10 down, 10 up. Um, the most of the times that you're going to run into an issue like that is in a shared living environment, like a senior living community that has an enterprise network, or where there might be like kind of signal issues getting all the way into an apartment, or a home there. But if you have like just like kind of a normal home internet from Spectrum or Xfinity or your like local internet provider, that's usually much more than enough. For example, like that, like a base home internet package is usually like 50 to 100 down, and then like another 20 to 50 up. That's like the cheapest plan that internet service providers will provide, and so like we're much 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 lower than that limit. And in case in fact, you probably have much more than you will need if you were just using the Jubilee TV device.
Awesome. Thank you, Jacob. With that, we can move on to the next portion of the demo. And again, if anyone has any additional questions or your question hasn't been answered yet, I'll be answering those in the chat directly.
Perfect. Yeah. So segue between like the TV experience when you're standing in front of the TV on the app side. So this is for what we call the app user. There's really three different areas that I want to walk through today. Telescope, which is remote TV control. The second is communication features, and so utilizing Jubilee TV as a communication mechanism, a communication hub. And then the third is what we call remote caregiving, and so that's going to be activity feed and drop in. So remotely controlling the TV is what we call telescope. And so if I open telescope on my screen in the app here, you'll see what we're seeing on the TV on the left-hand side. And I can control the TV experience as if I was standing in front of the TV utilizing the Jubilee TV remote. And so if I press arrow over, you can see that it arrowed over. I can navigate into uh, direct TV. I can change channels, increase channels over here. I can launch the guide, excuse me, for direct TV. And I'd also go over to Roku. So anything that you would be able to do kind of standing in front of the TV, you're able to do with telescope. Jubilee TV also knows the power state of the TV itself. And so you see here in the top left corner, it shows that the TV is on. So if I turn the TV off, you can see it on the left-hand side, TV's turning off. Once things update a little bit, the TV kind of fully powers off. The app's going to refresh over here on the right side. It's going to show you that the TV's off. So you have a good understanding like, hey, is the TV on in this moment or is the TV not on in this moment? You can see here, it updated and the TV itself is off. So turn that back on. You're going to see the TV turn on the left. There we go. And then on the right in telescope, it's going to refresh here just a second and show you that the TV is on. There are some communication features kind of nested within telescope, if you will. The top right corner, if you see a little communicate tab, there's two ways that you can communicate with your loved one while you're using telescope. The first is talk mode. When talk mode is enabled, anything that you are saying as the app user into the microphone on your phone or computer is going to come through the speakers on the TV. So this is a good application to like just kind of pop in and say, hey, mom, I'm turning the news on for you right now. And then you can turn talk mode off and then it goes back to the audio that's coming from the TV itself. But then there's also listen mode. Listen mode uses the microphone that's embedded in the console and plays on your phone, kind of like back to you through the speaker on your phone, what the console microphone is hearing. And so that's a good way to kind of get a good idea of like what the TV volume level is, right? If it's like too high or too low, you can turn on listen mode and you hear what's coming out of the TV speakers by way of that console mic. Also here in Telescope, you have some favorites and quick actions. When setting up Jubilee TV, you're prompted to add favorites. The definition of a favorite for us is like a favorite channel or a favorite streaming app. And so as you're going through the setup flow, you can choose what mom or dad likes to watch, and those become quick actions here in Telescope. You'll see on the TV, they're also accessible. Nope. Pressed a button with my thumb on the app while I was doing that. They become accessible in this favorites tile on the Jubilee TV. And so those are also quick actions here in Telescope. Some additional quick actions, you can launch photos and videos or the console settings from within Telescope. You can start the slideshow, which cycles through photos and videos that you've sent. We'll talk about that when we get into the communication features and other things like a sleep timer. Also in this command box, you can type into the command box anything that you would say into the Jubilee TV remote when you're using the voice functionality on the remote. So if I type in a channel name as an example, that's as if I said CNN into the voice remote on the Jubilee TV remote. So that's Telescope. That usually drives a lot of questions, Alex. So before we go on to communication, should I pause and we can talk a bit more about Telescope, or I could dive into things deeper if that's helpful.
Yeah, there's a few questions that have come in, so I'll just try to rapid fire a few of those quickly and then see if I can relay any to you.
Yep.
Um, a quick one from Jolie. She ordered her Jubilee TV from Amazon and had it shipped to her mom. She wants to know if she should set up the subscription now before it gets set up.
Yes. The one call out there is, in order to set up your subscription, you're going to need what we call the console ID, which is physically included in that shipment. If you don't activate your membership now using that console ID, when the console itself is kind of unboxed and set up with the TV, a screen's going to pop up on the TV and says, "Hey, you need to activate your membership," and it'll give you that console ID.
Awesome, perfect. And then a quick question from Jesse. If the room is bright enough during the sleeping hours, can motion and movement be detected in our activity feed and an alert notification be sent to them? So I can answer this one quickly, and then if you want to jump in, Jacob, feel free. But the way that the Jubilee TV activity feed works is we have settings that essentially have motion detection. So if there is a change in the number of people in the room, or your loved one's activity changes, we can capture that moment and alert you in the activity feed. If there is not enough light presence in the room, the feature can't detect that. So, in those evening hours when your loved one is asleep and there's very little light in the room, typically that feature won't fire the same way as it would during the day. But if the room is bright enough or you leave a lamp on in the evening, then it would be more plausible that that would happen.
Yeah, a good way to think about it is like the compare it to the human eye, if you will, right? Like if it's hard for you to see movement within the room, then it's going to be hard for the camera to pick it up. There are some like low light enhancements that are included in the Jubilee TV camera, and so it's probably a little bit better than the human eye. But yeah, to Alex's point, it the best way to accommodate for something like that is when you get your Jubilee TV and you set it up, you can turn on drop-in, which shows you the camera, and so you can look at it at varying times during the day and can see what those light levels would be.
Perfect. One more quick activity feed question and another one about Telescope. A. Brown asked about will you be adding a notification to the app so that you know when a contact is dropping in or calling up the TV? So our activity feed does call out some of those moments when certain features are used, but it won't tell you which family member used that feature, which is something that we are actively working on because we've had that request come in. One other question is from Becky. She asked if you have two TVs, would you need two boxes? How would you know which to control? So we do offer multiple consoles. So if your loved one spends, typically we'd recommend that you get the Jubilee TV console for whatever room your loved one spends the most time in. But let's say your loved one spends a lot of time in the living room and in her kitchen, or your loved one spends time in the living room and the bedroom. You could get a second Jubilee TV console or additional consoles added to your existing subscription, and that would be at a reduced cost than the additional console. And that's something you can add on after you've created your account. And then one question for you, Jacob. This one comes from Melissa. She wanted to know what the volume level bar is that's on your screen currently in Telescope and why it's moving, which I think is a great segue into a few other audio questions.
Absolutely. Yeah. So volume level, when you're setting up the Jubilee TV console, um, the concept like a chime, like a brief song is going to play. And on the TV screen, it's going to ask you, "Hey, is this a comfortable listening level for volume?" And then so you set that up, and then when you look in Telescope here, that is just an indicator against that middle point of what you chose as a comfortable volume level. The reason it's moving is because the console mic itself is lit like it. Th this is powered based off of the microphone in the console, and so as I'm talking, that console microphone is picking up my voice, and so that's what's causing the bar to move. So if I pause and don't say anything, and I'm like super quiet, you're going to see it drop down. And then as I start talking again, that bar increases. So it's a way for you to understand like what the volume level is of the TV when you're using Telescope.
Awesome. Thank you, Jacob. And with that, we will move on to the next section of the demo.
Perfect. Let's do it. So first functionality I want to talk through as it relates to communication features for Jubilee TV is video calling. Two types of video calls, a regular video call and an auto connect video call. And the difference between the two is that a normal video call requires the person watching TV, the person using the TV, to explicitly accept or decline the call. Like the same way that if you're getting a call on your mobile phone, you have to accept or decline the call. An auto connect video call gives you, as the app user, a little bit more control over how that video call starts on the TV itself. So auto connect gives you the opportunity to have the call connect after 15 seconds or connect immediately. And you can choose to automatically turn on the TV camera that's in the Jubilee TV console, and restrict the ability for the TV user, mom or dad, to be able to decline the call. So these are optional features. The majority of our members use something like a setup like this, where it's optimized to where mom or dad don't have to do anything in order to have that call start. I'm going to start an auto connect call, and you will see on the left-hand side, a little message pops up that says incoming call from Becca Daly. Becca is the person that's logged into my phone. And then what you're seeing here is on the right, what you would experience as an app user. And so my Jubilee TV console is facing my second desk over there. And then this is the kind of feed from the phone that's showing up full screen on the TV. One thing that you'll notice here is that everything that I'm saying as the app user is being closed captioned live and shown on the TV. And so the audio from the microphone on my phone is being visualized on the TV, like it's being closed captions, being captioned live. Make sure I can rotate. If I rotate my phone, you'll see that I am occupying kind of like a larger space on the TV on the left. Right now my phone's in portrait, and so that's why there's black bars on each side of the TV. Sorry, it's super blurry. The webcam is going in and out of focus. Also in the video call experience, you see the top left corner, there's the ability to control things related to the TV. So you can turn the volume up or turn the volume down from within the video call experience. So if your loved one says, hey, I can't hear you, or you're too loud, you as the app user can adjust the volume from within this video call experience. You also have the ability to turn off the TV webcam. And so you see when I turn that off, mom or dad can still see you, right? Your camera's still on unless you hit stop video down here. But this gives you the ability to turn off video from the camera that's on the Jubilee TV console. You can flip your camera and show kind of like what's happening on the other side of your phone, mute your own audio, just similar video calling controls for other ways that you do video calling. Video calls can also have multiple people. They support up to 4 total people, including the TV. So your loved one plus you who initiated the video call, and then 2 additional people. You can add somebody who's a known contact to Jubilee TV that has access to the Jubilee TV features in addition to you, or you can invite somebody with guest link. Guest link is just generates a unique call URL for this video calling instance, which then you can copy and like text to somebody or send it to somebody via email. Once this video call ends, that link becomes dead. And so like it no longer works. And so like the person who has that link can't initiate a new video call from that link. One more thing that I'll call out here in video calling is what we call moments. So you see this little red record button in the bottom right corner. By default, video calling isn't recorded. It's like encrypted end to end between the console and the instance of your app. But if mom or dad says something funny, you can capture the previous 2 minutes of that video call by pressing that red record button, and then that's stored later in your app. A lot of our members use that like when they're reminiscing and mom like chuckles at a memory where you're talking and you want to save that as a video clip. You can press that red record button, and that captures a moment. So that is video calling. One thing also I'll call out about video calls is Since Jubilee TV knows the power state of the TV, so you see it here right in the middle, it says TV on, and we talked about that in Telescope. If you start a video call and the TV is off, we're going to turn the TV on so that your loved one can see that a video call is coming in. And so you don't have to worry about that video call starting and like the TV being off and mom or dad not realizing that you're trying to have a video call with them. I'm going to cover something. I'm going to cover photos and videos real quick, Alex, and then we'll pause for questions because that will wrap up communication features.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Photos, cool. Photos and videos allow you as the app user to send a photo or a video from your mobile phone, from your phone to mom or dad's TV, which also powers the slideshow. And so if I launch a slideshow on the TV, this is going to cycle through all of the photos that you or other app users have sent to your loved one's TV. That also applies for videos too. I don't think I haven't sent any videos on this device. But if you have like a short clip of a video on your phone that you want to send to mom or dad, you can do that through Jubilee TV. And then it'll pop up and they can view it on their TV through the video section of Jubilee TV. I'll pause. Actually, sorry, one more thing, Alex. Messaging and reminders. So messaging allows you to kind of chat back and forth with mom or dad via direct message. And so from the app, I can say, have a great day. You'll see that pop up on the TV. Mom or dad can choose to view that message and then can use the voice remote to respond back to you. Thanks, you too. Send that message and you'll see it appear over on the right side in my app. That's for kind of like one-off ways to like send messages back and forth with the TV user. Kind of more popular, if I will, is reminders, which allows you to create either a one-time or a scheduled message that gets sent to the TV. So these things are great for a reminder about a doctor's appointment, or to take medication, or a reminder that a family member is coming to visit, or there's an event occurring in with the activity team. If your loved one lives in a senior living community, most of our members use reminders to send those kind of written messages to the TV. Okay, Alex, sorry. Now I will pause for questions as it relates to communications.
Yeah, no, perfect. Thank you, Jacob. Let's see. There are a few that have come in. One quick one we can start with was a question about what our voice insights are within the app.
Yeah, so Voice Insights is so it's an early access feature. It kind of wires into to video calling. We partner with Canary Speech, which is another software provider. Um, it uses the kind of the audio, and you have to enable this, right? So like you have to opt into it. Like I said, it's early access. Um, it utilizes the Canary Speech's AI utilizes the voice, um, like how your loved one is speaking to determine like a wellness score, a stress score, a mood score based off of kind of like markers in their voice while you're participating in a video call. There's a lot of information here as it relates to voice insights. There's a really good knowledge base article that we have that kind of talks about the value and like the technology around it. But it's a partnership with Canary Speech, and like I said, it's you have to opt into it. It's not turned on by default.
Perfect. And this is a quick one. Judy asked, can you turn off closed captioning on video calls if your loved one doesn't like that? And the answer is yes.
You can, yes. The In addition to turning them off, you can also change the size. So mine were on large, and you can also get a medium or small. So since mine were on large, it occupied a large portion of the TV, right? Could be distracting, but you can change the size of them to make them smaller, or you can turn them off altogether.
Perfect. And then another question with reminders. If the TV is off, does it turn on and or make a noise if a reminder is triggered?
Great question. So I'll actually walk you through creating a reminder. So we'll do a simple reminder. The difference between a simple reminder and a reminder with an automated action is a reminder with an automated action can do something to the TV when that reminder is sent. So for example, I have this reminder for news. And so every day at 7:15, which is actually in 55 seconds, we'll see exactly what that behavior is on the TV. It's going to turn on it. We'll turn on the TV if the TV's off, and it's going to tune to a news channel. But for a personal reminder, you'll go through, you'll put in an example of, let's do happy birthday. Uh, Next, you'll choose the time, date and time in which you want that to be sent. If you want it to repeat, very similar to like a recurring calendar event on your personal calendar, and we'll just send this once. You have these optional behaviors. So you can turn on the TV if the TV currently is off, and then you can play a chime, and that chime is just kind of a very relaxing noise that just the intention of it is to draw attention to the TV. So these are optional behaviors. So you can turn on the TV. It will not power off the TV if the TV is already on. So this is just going to turn on the TV, and then that chime will play, and you can choose how long you want the chime to play. So what's happening on the left over here on my TV is this reminder with an automated action is being sent, the news reminder. So you see it showed up on the TV. We're actually already on CNN, so probably should have changed the channel before that. But it typed in, if you saw it, 202, which is the channel number, the bottom left corner. So wherever your loved one is watching TV, whether they're on a Roku or like another device, or if they're watching a different channel, it's going to tune to that channel because that's how you have it set up in this reminder with an automated action.
Hopefully, this isn't the first time that people are seeing the news clip that you just showed.
Right. I know. I was debating on whether or not I was going to mention it. It came through. I was on another call earlier and I was like, oh my gosh, I was not expecting that news today.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, about Dolly Parton for anyone who's didn't see the screen. Moving on, can you set the default setting on a video call so that that a loved one or parent doesn't see their own room during the video call? So I believe the answer is no, but I think that's an excellent idea. So I already sent it over to our product director, but just wanted your confirmation, Jacob.
yeah. So you could you could turn off their camera. So if we do an auto the turn off the TV webcam, hide option to decline the call. We start a video call. This is assuming so mom or dad could technically use the remote to turn their TV on. Or you could just do the video call without turning that TV webcam on, in which case the only thing they would see on the TV is you. And so I think that's probably what you're after. But that's my recommendation as far as like what is currently functional. But Alex, if you've already sent it over to Nino and Lawrence, I'm sure they're thinking about it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Um, One other question that came in was, can you demo the features that are only with a Roku, particularly the favorites? And is any Roku sufficient, like an older one, or is there a specific Roku model that you would recommend? Um, I guess to kind of jump in there. So favorites, actually, I'll let you take that one, Jacob. I don't think it's too
Yeah.
crazy, but
Yeah, so if you're just using a Roku, so I have a DirecTV and a Roku setup. If you're just using a Roku, you're not going to see this DirecTV tile on the TV. And then when you go in to manage your favorites, you would not see this channel favorite section at the top. You would just see this Roku section. So if you just had a Roku and you were opening up like how to adjust the favorites, you would just see the Roku favorites. And then equally on the TV, you would just see the Roku channel section that's towards the bottom here over on the left. Um, Hopefully that answers that question.
yeah, if there's a
It's kind
follow-up
of hard
there.
for me to like unplug my DirecTV like in the middle of a demo and cause a bunch of issues. I apologize for that. But if you can kind of like imagine in your head, you would not see the DirecTV tile here on the Jubilee TV home screen. And when you launch the Jubilee TV app to control those favorites, you would just see what you're seeing on the screen here.
Yeah, exactly. And then one other question from Judy. If she's trying to initiate a video call, but she doesn't want to do an auto connect video call, how would her mom answer it? And does her mom need to find the remote using a regular
Yeah,
video call?
great question. Yep. So I'll start a regular video call and then you'll see what appears on the TV. So it says incoming call from Becca Daly. and then answer or decline. And so on the Jubilee TV remote, there's a red check button or a red check, a green check button or a red X button, which allows your loved one to accept or decline that call. So if I hit decline on the app side, you're going to see grandma decline the call. If grandma had accepted the call by pressing the green check, then the call would connect. I'll also call out a regular video call is supported in interactive mode, which is where the TV user is using the full remote. If the TV user is using a passive mode, in which case they're using the remote cover, which is just a plastic cover that snaps on to the voice remote, or the 6-button remote, the only video calling that is supported with those usage modes is auto connect video calling because there is no like green check red X for the passive mode. So there's no way for the TV user to accept or decline that call.
Perfect. Thank you. And then a question from Jesse. At some point, can we address the different plans and pricing options for each Jubilee TV plan? And I'll do that at the very end, which is we're coming up on very quickly.
Perfect.
And then another question from Jesse as well is when the system is off, does it automatically turn on when motion is detected when entering the room? Or would motion detection still occur even when the TV is off?
So that's that great question. The Jubilee TV console itself never powers off. And so if I like turn my TV off, you'll see the TV go off, but you still see the two green, like red LEDs on the console. So the console itself is always on in the background. And so and we're getting to activity feed here in a second. So like activity feed is still like fully supported when the TV itself is off. The TV will not turn on based off of like any motion or movement within the room. Depending on your activity feed settings, would get notifications when somebody enters or exits the room or if the number of people change. But if the Jubilee TV console detects motion, it's not going to turn the TV on or off itself. Shall we segue into activity feed or more questions?
There's a few that I'll try to rattle off very quickly, and then yes, we can keep
Okay.
going. So, a quick one from Jack. Jack asked, his mom has, he wants to know, would his mom have to hit a button to interact with him? She's confused about buttons. So, if you did an auto connect call that you initiate, she would not need to press any buttons. You would just press auto connect within the app that Jacob is showing currently, and you could immediately connect to her. But if your question is more geared towards you, mom trying to initiate a call on her own that you aren't initiating, yes, she would need to use the remote and essentially navigate to the contacts tile, which Jacob's doing here, and then she would have to press on whichever tile is you, and then press the call button. Another option to make that a little easier is she could press the audio button on her remote and say call Jack, and it would bring her to your contacts tile here, and then she could just press OK, and it would press that call button. So again, at minimum, it would be a 2-button click situation for mom to initiate. But if you are the one initiating the call, you could do it in a way that she doesn't have to press any buttons through our auto connect feature. Another question from Melissa. This one's about passive modes. She thought that passive mode meant that her loved one could just keep using her old remote instead of the Jubilee TV remote. I'll just pass that one right to you, Jacob.
Yeah, absolutely. The so I th yes, there are three types of passive modes. The ones that I referenced earlier reference the Jubilee TV remote options. But you can use passive mode with your original remote, which allows mom or dad to keep using the original remote they were using, and they don't have to use a Jubilee TV remote, whether the full one or with the remote cover, or the 6-button remote.
Perfect. Nina asked, can you check on mom and have her reply without having to touch anything to answer you? Yes, the answer would be an auto connect video call again. So you could either use a video call that auto connects to mom to initiate a two-way connection with her and then see what she's doing, have her answer in real time, or you could use our drop-in feature, which would be a one-way video call where you could see and hear her without disturbing her routine. I see you just wrote she's not remembering how to use a phone or a TV remote very well. So in that case, you would definitely want to be using the auto connect feature to make it as easy as possible for mom. And you might want to use one of those passive modes that Jacob was just mentioning, which would essentially we have three passive modes currently, and they each limit, and Jacob already mentioned this, but I was going to run it back very high level.
Yeah.
Each one limits the TV user's experience in a different way to make it simpler for them. And so if your loved one is starting to experience cognitive decline, is having just general difficulty with remotes and new remotes in general, you could either use the original remote to keep it more familiar to them. You could use our 6-button remote. Or you could use our remote cover, which also limits the features that your loved one would have access to on their end, but you could still access most features from the app side as the connected family member, essentially. Um,
I'll add there too, Alex, just from kind of like as you're thinking about this. The like you as the app user could also control everything, right? Like so like there's kind of this concept of like no remotes at all for the older adult. Obviously it's a little bit more work on you, right? But like you could kind of like maintain your routine throughout the day to where like you wake up in the morning and like turn on the TV for mom. You can tap into those reminders with automated actions. Where you can fully control the TV experience without mom or dad having to interact with the remote at all.
Perfect. And then Meredith had a question about the remote cover. She just wanted more information on what the remote cover, which buttons it's covering, and how that experience generally works.
Yep. So I'm going to stop sharing so you can see my video a little bit larger. It hides all of the buttons except for channel up, channel down, previous, volume up, volume down, and mute, and then power button at the top. And so it's similar to the actual 6-button remote, where it's just power on and off, mute, channel up, volume down. When you're using the 6-button remote or you're using this remote cover, this is meant for if you have a cable or satellite set-top box. So you have a cable subscription like directly from Spectrum or DirecTV or Xfinity, um, and you have a device from them. That is where the 6-button remote or this remote cover would work best for you.
Perfect. Another question that came in, if hmm, I guess two similar ones around dementia use cases. So Lisa asked, is this something that someone with early and mid-stage dementia that is living in a memory facility could handle? It's a tough question because for anyone going through cognitive decline and especially dementia, um, it's very case by case. And so my best recommendation would be to give it a try. And then if it doesn't work for her, to just send it back in our return period, which is 60 days. You'll get a full refund. We'll take it back, no questions asked. Um, we have seen success for families and members who are in memory care facilities. But those families that use Jubilee TV for that specific purpose typically are um, doing more of the Jubilee TV/TV control and monitoring features from the phone, with the expectation that their loved one isn't doing much at all with the remote, just given that it's increasingly difficult for them. Um, Jacob, would you add anything to that?
Yeah, I echo all of your comments, Alex. I'm not a clinician, right? And so this is kind of what I've experienced in working with families who, and my own experience with my grandparents. The kind of like maintaining a routine is often how members that are caring for a parent with dementia will use the features. So like for example, it could be confusing for a video call, right? Like, oh, there's a person on my TV, right? Where like maintaining a routine or like playing familiar TV content, right? So reruns of old shows or like favorite music, right? That's where they, like those types of our members are seeing great success. Where it's kind of like things are happening in the background, right? The concept of a TV is still known, and so playing familiar things and kind of easing into the concept of video calling because that is it's a different experience, right? Like your face is extremely big on their TV. And so Alex, I'm sure you'll mention it at some point, but we have a very active and supportive Facebook community for members, and I'm sure that question would be kind of gladly answered by other members in that community that could share their own experiences.
Yeah, and that community is for Jubilee TV members. We're trying to work on a version that you could join before being a member, but that's still something actively in the works. But if you reached out to me, I could definitely help you join it perhaps a little early, wink, wink. But yeah, we have a lot of members who talk on the regular, and it's great to kind of share experiences, successes, what's worked for them. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this because it's a little harder to do, but I've seen some members who have carved out additional slots in their remote cover, which is always interesting. We have some additional remote cover options on the way in the coming month or two. You didn't hear that from me though. Um, one, one more question, then we can keep moving on, and then there's some other
Yeah.
questions thereafter. Sarita asked, her mother and husband both have dementia and live in separate homes. If she purchased two consoles, one for each of them, could those be controlled by the same app, or would those need to be separate accounts?
Yeah, great question. So you would want to create two separate accounts, and the reason being is that like a membership is applied to like the location of a residence, right? So like if they're living in two different places, you'll want to create two different accounts. Um, the what your app would look like is something like this. So you would have those two different accounts, those two different memberships, and then you could have access to both of them. And so I have access to four, right? But so you would just see two cards here where you could click in for the like loved one, your first loved one, and then you could open up for your second loved one.
Perfect. One quick callback. A member asked, "How do you do an audio call?" They just had missed that earlier, but I know it's a quick button that we can press.
Audio call,
Oh, sorry. Well, huh. You
like an
just
audio only call.
Yes, I actually read that wrong when I was reading it, but yes, through I think they were specifically asking about the telescope talk mode.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Yeah, so telescope talk mode, it's communicate top right corner here. And you can turn on talk mode, and this is you speaking through the TV speakers without changing the like kind of what's happening on the TV. You could
perfect.
technically do like an audio only call by way of video calling, and like the cameras could just be off, but it does like take over the TV experience.
Yeah, perfect. One more question about the remote cover that came in was a version that has the voice activated button available to the user. I'm going to send that to our product director now. I was going to type it out, but I figured I would just say it to you. And then one more question from Jesse, and then we can move on, Jacob, is she would assume that with cognitive decline or a family member with cognitive decline, that the use of the system would be more beneficial in the sense of the observational features and activities, which would be in her specific case. Um, I would say yes. And then again, maybe picking a passive mode where your loved one's remote is simpler. They have a passive experience. They don't see the Jubilee TV home screen, limiting some of those things that might confuse them, and then focusing the Jubilee TV experience more on your end as an observational tool, peace of mind, helping them remotely. Uh, maybe they like to wake up every day at 9:15, and so every day at 9:15 you put a giant reminder on their screen that says breakfast is down the hall, and then you put on their favorite show, so that way when they come back from breakfast, Disney is on or the Animal Planet is on, whatever it may be. Um, but yeah, Jacob, anything that you would add to that, and then we can jump into the next anything else.
No, I think that's actually a perfect segue into like what we call remote caregiving. The first I'll do is drop in, and so when I start drop in, you're creating a one-way audio and video feed from the camera on the console and the microphone in the room to your app, and so it doesn't take over the TV experience for your loved one. It just allows you to peek into the room. A lot of our members use this to see if mom or dad are in front of the TV before they start a video call. Um, and like I said, it's just kind of a quick way to get eyes in the room. So that's drop in, and then the other is what we call activity feed. And we've talked a little bit about activity feed to date here. Activity feed is a great way to kind of monitor and understand routines of your loved one. And so there's two aspects of activity feed. One tells you about events that are occurring with the TV. right? And then the other is Jubilee TV Vision, which is the like the presence detection and photo taking, things like that. If I tap into, um, let's see, can't remember if we did a video call during this hour. Um, and we'll just scroll through this. So this is all the activity that has occurred within the last like 30 minutes or so. So the 7 to 8 p.m. hour. Um, you can see that Jubilee TV remote was used, and so you can see when the remote took place. See when the TV turned on or off. One of the settings that I have set up is for the system to take a photo anytime the TV is turned on, which is why you see a photo here. I also have it set up to take a photo anytime the TV is turned off, and so that's why you also see a photo here. If we go back to um, the 6 p.m. hour, so I was on a call before we hopped on this meeting, and so you see here that the activity feed detected that this person's been stationary. So I joined my call at 2 minutes to 6, and I'd been sitting there for 5 minutes, and so it snapped a photo and highlighted me. You see that when I moved at 6:13, the stationary person is now active, and so it snapped a photo. Um, Similar kind of functionality here. You see when I left the view of the camera, so I stood up after my call ended, it snapped a photo because the number of people in the room had changed. Equally, when I came back, one person is now detected in front of the camera, and so a photo was snapped and green rectangle showed. Um, I will go into select phone and notification settings. Here are those things that I was talking about. Have a photo taken every time the TV turns on or off. Have a photo taken when presence is detected. And then as an app user, I can also choose specific notification settings around when I want to be notified about these things. So these are push notifications that go to your mobile phone through the Jubilee TV app. So when somebody turns on the TV, when somebody enters the room, when somebody turns off the TV, or when the last person leaves the room. So if no person is detected in front of the Jubilee TV camera. So I went through activity feed relatively quickly. So happy to answer any questions there. But those are all the features that I wanted to walk through, Alex.
Awesome. Thank you, Jacob. I know we just covered a lot as Jacob has shown you guys. So if there are any additional questions or follow-ups from anything we covered, feel free to drop that in the chat still and we'll get to it now. There are currently no questions yet about the most recent set, but I'll jump back to Jesse's question about Jubilee TV pricing and plans. And then if
Yep.
any questions roll in the meantime, great. So Jesse's question was to run through the different pricing options that we have. There are a few different options, so I definitely want to run through those and let you guys know how each one works. So we have three main options. There's a monthly plan, there's an annual plan, and then a lifetime plan. And so if you go to our website, the main option you'll see is a rental plan. And so the way our rental plan works is um, there's a monthly subscription cost to the Jubilee TV, but with the rental plan, you don't pay for the console. It's just included with the rental. And then when you're done using the Jubilee TV unit, let's say a few years from now you no longer need it, you would cancel it and then just send the box back to us, and that's it. If you wanted to, for whatever reason, own your Jubilee TV console, you could purchase the box outright from us through a third-party provider. The main example would be Amazon. So if you went on Amazon Prime, you could purchase the Jubilee TV console and then still have a membership subscription. Um, but when you purchase the box up front, it's a $199 purchase, but then you own the console. You don't have to send it back when you're done. You could resell it, you could gift it to a friend, you could do whatever you want with it. And then your subscription cost is $10 less each month than the rental model. Personally, it really comes down to personal choice. If you were asking me personally, I would do the rental model because then I don't have to pay $200 up front, and it's kind of more at my whim how I want to pay. But we do have members who prefer to purchase the box outright, and that's when you would want to go to Amazon to purchase. But talking back about our on-site model, you could either rent the box on a monthly basis, an annual basis, or purchase it for a lifetime. The monthly option is $39 a month. And then again, there's no fee for the hardware because you're renting it. Our annual plan is you pay 12 months up front. And I don't remember what the discount amount is. It might be like 20% off the year for annual by purchasing upfront. And then our lifetime plan is essentially about the same price as 2 years of service. But if your loved one is a little younger, perhaps they're in their 70s with early stage dementia, maybe their early 80s, and obviously we all want our loved ones to be around for a long time. But if you're anticipating using the service for a long time, I would go for the lifetime option because then you're getting the most bang for your buck, just speaking from a cost perspective. Um, that's kind of the main breakdown. If there are IC questions coming in, so just feel free to ask those so I know where to kind of jump to next. Um, what was the last intricacy I was going to mention here? Yes, so if you want multiple Jubilee TV consoles, that's the other thing to keep in mind. So if you go for the rental purchase directly on our website, if you wanted to get a second box for the bedroom, the kitchen, you would want to also have that be a rental box. Um, Essentially, whatever plan you decide on up front is the one you need to stick with. So if you purchased your box on Amazon and then you wanted a second unit, you would have to purchase that second unit as well. Versus if you rented the first unit, then the second unit you would also want to rent directly on our website. It's due to some technical annoying stuff on the back end, but that's just something to keep in mind if you are someone who wants 2 units. One more thing I'll mention before I look at the questions. Um, the people who are attending this demo get a special, very, very exclusive offer that I think it's probably the best one we've ever offered. I had to get special permission for it, but um, it is 50% off your first 3 months. And so it's $20 off a month. So you'd be paying $19 a month for the first 3 months if you are on our monthly plan. But if you are interested in annual or our lifetime plan, I have a separate code that would give you $60 off upfront, which is the equivalent to the same discount as if you were doing the monthly version for 50% off. Those two codes, I'll send in a follow-up email tomorrow. But if you want to write them down now, the one for 50% off your first 3 months is August demo 350. And then the second one for the 60% off upfront is August demo 60. I'll repeat those again after, but I'll follow up with those in our email as well. Do you ever upgrade? So now I'm going to jump into the questions. Do we ever upgrade boxes? This is a question from Jack. Not typically. We have done a box upgrade a few years ago, but our current model is set up in a way that we can essentially um, add new features to it without needing to upgrade the hardware itself. So um, the expectation would be that no, there would never be a new box that you would have to worry about. And if there was, we would have some kind of upgrade or swap situation that we would figure out for you. Let's see. Judy said, if I'm renting the box and you come out with an upgraded model, do I just trade in the old one? Similar vein, it's not in the current plans, but if we did, we would have some kind of trade-in model available. But again, it likely would not be for a long time, if ever. If one of my contacts is having trouble accepting their invitation, how can I help them set up? Jacob, do you want to take that one while I take a breath for air?
Yeah. I it depends potentially on the issue that they're experiencing. So um, I will say when it comes time to, so when you set up Jubilee TV, there's a section in the app to add contacts. You'll go and you put in the email address of the person you want to invite. They'll then get an email with a link to set up, and so they click on that link. Depending on what the actual issue is, the best thing is to probably reach out to our support team. You can access them by going to our website, and then there's a little button at the top that says support. And then there's tons of different options as far as how you want to interact with them. Depends on the issue. I'd probably reach out to support.
Perfect. And then just one more question that came in from Karen. If she needs to send back the product, is there a free shipping option or is there a cost to sending the unit back?
Yeah, so if you're a rental customer, when you cancel your membership, you'll receive an email to generate a shipping label. That's a prepaid shipping label. And then you'll take that shipping label to return the console back. So it is prepaid, both like for the like reverse logistics as we call it. So for you giving it back to us, it's a prepaid shipping label. One kind of pro tip call out here is if you are on the rental model, when you get your Jubilee TV console, I recommend holding on to the box that you received it in, so that it's easy to kind of drop back into that box that you received it in. You don't have to go scrummaging around for a box to send it back. Then print out that label and drop it off at the courier to get